One woman walks away from the man she loves to protect her soul. Another woman destroys nearly everyone around her in the name of passion. In this episode of our Typecast series, we're exploring Jane Eyre and Catherine Earnshaw from Wuthering Heights. One woman who knew how to control her passions and the other who was controlled by them. Because Jane's restraint doesn't mean she's repressed, and Catherine's passion doesn't equal power. And once you see the difference, you'll start noticing it everywhere, in your own relationships, in your friendships, and in the way you pursue love. Hi, I'm Tracy, and this is The Tracy Marshall Show. Welcome back to our series called The Typecast, where we're studying women of classic literature, not to stereotype them, but to understand their strengths, their weaknesses, and their relevance. Today, we're looking at Jane Eyre and Wuthering Heights, two of the most famous novels ever written by women. And what's really wild, they were written by sisters, Charlotte and Emily Brontë, and they were even published the same year, 1847. Two sisters, two novels, and two completely different ideas of what feminine strength looks like. So, whether you've read the novels or you've just been meaning to catch the movie versions, I think you'll find something here for you. Both Jane and Catherine face hardships, but their responses to the difficulties they encounter couldn't be more different. And I think that's what makes them powerful archetypes that we can learn from. Jane Eyre grows up unloved, poor, abused, and alone. She faces cruelty, deprivation, near death at one point. But she's the narrator of the book, and she never depicts herself as a victim. In fact, her hardships seem to just grow her strength. And her reward at the end, a love for the ages. Catherine Earnshaw, on the other hand, is raised in relative comfort, but her life spirals into total chaos. She lets her life be driven by the things she craves: ambition, power, possessions. She confuses obsession for love, and she actually seems to prize being emotionally volatile. The trouble is she leaves nothing but a wake of devastation. One woman builds, the other consumes. But let's take a closer look at these two women. First, let's look at Jane Eyre. She's the classic steadfast soul. Jane is emotionally intelligent. She's willing to walk away from love at one point to protect her principles and her soul. And she's quietly stable, almost goes unnoticed at times. I think Jane lives life with clarity. I don't think she denies her emotions, but she never lets them override her convictions. And she always seems to see the truth about herself and others. She's this picture, I think, of conviction mixed with compassion. Catherine Earnshaw, on the other hand, she's the classic wild woman. She's fiery and romantic. She's also, though, impulsive and unstable. She seems to crave drama and chaos, and she hurts the people she says she loves the most. Catherine wants what she wants, and while she's magnetic, she's also tragic. She never learns to channel all her ambition and passion into something productive. Her legacy is just heartbreak. St. Augustine defined sin as disordered love, loving the lesser things more than the greater things. That's Catherine. She doesn't love too much, she loves wrongly. She elevates emotional intensity over loyalty and truth. Jane, by contrast, orders her love. God first, moral clarity, then love for others. St. Augustine is famous for saying, love first and then do what you will. But Augustine got that straight from the Bible. Check out Psalm 37. Because rightly ordered love naturally restrains destructive behavior. In classical thought, think like Plato and Aristotle, the passions aren't evil, but they have to be restrained and governed by reason and will. Jane doesn't suppress her passions, she governs them. Catherine, on the other hand, just indulges them. There's an ancient proverb that says, passions are like a fire, great servants but terrible masters. Jane holds that fire in a hearth, and it warms her and the people around her. Catherine, on the other hand, metaphorically burns down her own house. She consumes herself and everyone around her. So what does this mean for you? If you resonate with Jane, ask yourself this: am I standing strong in truth, or am I avoiding relationships out of fear? And if you see a little Catherine in yourself, ask this: am I chasing intensity over peace? Both women reveal something timeless about the human experience, the desire to be seen, to be loved, and to be chosen. But one character roots that longing in wisdom, the other just lets it run wild. Now I want to hear from you. Are you more Jane or more Catherine? Are you the clear-eyed woman who knows her worth? Or are you the one that gets pulled into emotional drama and instability? Drop a comment below and let me know which character you lean toward and where you want to grow. And while you're there, be sure to like and subscribe and share this episode with someone who loves the Brontes or maybe needs to read them. Pop culture today glamorizes emotional chaos, right? It's often the it girl, the one who lets her emotions run wild and breaks things in the process. But Jane Eyre, if she lived today, she might go unnoticed. But here's the truth. Jane's kind of strength is the one that lasts. It's the one that can sustain a marriage, raise a family, build a career, and know when to walk away from a situation that's toxic or that's compromising your morals. Jane doesn't silence her feelings, she masters them. And in doing that, she lives life with dignity. Catherine, meanwhile, leaves scorched earth behind her. And while we might admire Catherine's intensity, we should never confuse that with love. This is where the Brontë sisters give us something that our modern-day culture won't. They give us this side-by-side comparison, if you will, of one woman who's ruled by her emotions and the other one who lets them refine her. One is all feeling with absolutely no filter. The other is all heart, but she's anchored it in truth. Here's the deal. We don't have to be the wildest person in the room to have the strongest presence. Jane Eyre reminds us that gentleness doesn't mean weakness, and sometimes walking away, even from something you love, can be the right and brave choice. Catherine Earnshaw, on the other hand, can show us what happens when we're ruled by our passions and cravings. So don't just ask yourself, which one am I? Also ask yourself, which fire am I feeding? Next time on the Typecast, we're headed to the March household, because if you thought the Bennet sisters were different, wait until you meet Jo and Meg from Little Women. And if you missed that episode on the Bennet sisters from Pride and Prejudice, be sure to check it out here.